But sticking with climate for just a moment, you know, here in Australia on the weekend, we had these big old Yes campaign marches. Well, overseas, they were campaigning on other matters, namely ending fossil fuels. You know, we've seen these people before, Extinction Rebellion, etc. Or they were getting around New York on the weekend. They were getting around Toronto, all over the shop. Have a look at this stuff that was going on in New York. They're marching around saying we've got to end the fossil fuels. We can't have this. This is terrible. By 2030, by the way, they want to end this stuff. Now, one of the people who was at this protest was interviewed by a journalist. Have a listen to her reasoning for being there.
So like a year ago, we were in the parking lot of his preschool, and he said, I hope I die before the world catches on fire. So here we are.
So here we are. What an utterly bizarre... Like, is this woman actually brain dead? Her son is going to preschool and clearly being told, oh, you know, the climate, the planet's going to burn and you're going to burn with it. He now, at whatever age, you know, he's under 10, obviously, he's at preschool, he's saying he wants to die before the planet burns down. This is the stuff that's being implanted in these kids' heads. And instead of her going, hang on a minute, I should probably go protest at the principal's front door, she's going to go, oh, I'll just walk around the streets of New York hoping that we can sustain this big old city here, one of the biggest in the world, without fossil fuels. How great. Then over in Berlin, take a look at this. You've got these numpty protesters go up to the Brandenburg Gate, famous landmark, of course, and they're defacing it with fire extinguishers and orange spray paint. They were caught out because they were seen by security guards on a security camera bringing up a hydraulic lift. You know, if you're going to go and do some sort of protest, you'd probably do better to be a little more inconspicuous than driving around in a hydraulic lift, I would have thought. And then take a look at this out of Toronto. I honestly don't know what is going on here. Again, these people are protesting against fossil fuels. They want to end them by 2030. Mac, what on earth are they wearing? Are they, like, satanic?
When you said you don't know what it is, I thought it's some sort of satanic religious festival.
Like, is it demons?
But, I mean, it is a religion. The Sydney Morning Herald reporting on these protests in New York, but reporting on it in our local papers, they quoted an 8-year-old in the story.
Good.
Who said, quote, I really want the earth to feel better. I mean... If this is the sort of reporting, but it does reflect a sort of a religious belief that's being inculcated in the next generation. Protesters were talking about, you know, the terrible things that are going on around the world, including the floods in Libya. Well, I mean, that was a faulty dam that had been allowed to fill, you know, to capacity.
Yeah.
It should have been released earlier. That was not a climate issue. It was a engineering issue. It's got all the hallmarks of religion and none of the hallmarks of logic, reason or sense, Liz.
100%. And the amount of times now the media is relaying these disasters, like the dam in Libya, as you say, as being climate related. We know even the weather these days is like, oh, it's so different, it's climate change. And you've got the same exact temperatures during the same exact time of the year being put next to each other, but now it's red instead of blue, because they're trying to give people the impression that this is just impending doom. But what really gets me is these parents, like the lady we just saw, that instead of reassuring her child, instead of availing herself of the facts so you can do the right thing by your kid, instead of just being drawn into this lunacy and being like, I'm doing it for my child. Do you know a thing about CO2? Do you know a single skerrick about what climate change actually entails? The fact that the climate's always been changing. It would be weirder if it stopped. Let me know if that happens, because then I will be worried. It's the adults on the scene who aren't behaving like the adults on the scene. Whether it's our politicians, whether it's parents in the home, certainly those in education. It's just absolutely negligent.